there anything that you would like to talk about?
Well, I just think the overall vibe of the gym. We're not like McDojo. We're not like a huge facility. I think we got like 800 square foot of mat space. We've only been open like a year and a half. Um, we still got small class sizes, anywhere from like 4 to 12 students. But it's a real like intimate like family environment. Like it's not like people aren't coming here to roll the moon dials. Like most of our students are coming to like make lifestyle changes because they want to do a hobby that helps them get in shape and be on a team, and they want to do it in a safe manner. So like we have UFC fighters that come in and roll, and we make sure they get good looks and stuff like that. We
Okay.
get some tough guys, but for the most part, like we're really catering to the, I guess you could say, like the armchair quarterback types, the guys that like watch the UFC on TV, think it's awesome, and then come to my gym up in New Hampshire and say that, oh, my coach is on TV cornering UFC fighters, and they think it's cool. And then sometimes my UFC fighters will come in and take pictures and stuff like that, and they really feel like they're part of it, and I try to make them feel included as best they can. Um, just to feel like, they never made it to the UFC, they never had any illusions of it, but they feel like the part of the team that is there. So they always feel special, and I think it's just overall family vibe. Like, a lot of people will bring their kids to class. The kids will, last time we had a 7-year-old running around in the adult class, like doing the drills with us, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So we're not trying to be like a super serious training to the Olympics type thing. It's really like a laid back environment where we want people to feel like safe. It's not about who taps who. Every time we roll, I start the roll with no attacks for the waist, no neck cranks. If you feel anything that hurts, just tap. There's no winning and losing. I try to just constantly remind people of that because there's nothing worse than that student that is there to roll to win, and then it kind of isolates himself and doesn't really ever become part of the team because
Yeah, they
he's
take it
focused
way
on
too
success.
seriously.
Yeah, like so I always try to remind people of that, and if I see it happening, I really take that person aside. Like, you're better than that person. There's no need to tap them 5 times in a round. You put
Mhm.
the person in a 5 minute round and 6 arm bars. Like, what is he learning? Teach him how to get out of it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm a big like like help your training partners beat you, and we'll make you better. Like that's what I did. Like I was fighting, and I had I was a student down at Sing-A-Song, and I was one of the better grapplers, and I would just smash everybody on the ground, and then I would teach them what I did. I would, here's how I put you down, here's how you defend it. And I got to the point where, like, I couldn't take anybody down because they knew all my tricks. I couldn't hold anybody down because they knew my tricks. But I was able to submit people because they knew my tricks. So it forced me to evolve into other things. And that's kind of the approach I take. Like, I don't have an ego. Like, I want my students tapping me if they can. Like, if they catch me in something, that's awesome. Like, I don't get, there's no ego with me. There's no, like I said, no winning and losing. And
Mhm.
it's the same approach I took with my fighters, down in Mass was, I took them from being the guys that were there the first day to, taking easy rounds with them and carrying them through rounds. So now they're in the UFC and they can beat the hell out of me, but I'm still able to teach them stuff.
Yeah.
So my goal is to just take the students so they can beat me. And if that's starting to happen, then I really think it's a reflection on, like, one, a really tolerant, safe environment, and number two, like, me not having an ego, and then the last thing is, me being a good instructor in terms of building up my students because I want them to be as good as they can be.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty similar to what the UFC fighter Bubba Bush had said. He was saying like whenever
Yep.
you're training, just leave your pride at the door. And a lot of
Yep.
times when you're training with guys, even if they're less experienced with you, just because you've rolled with them so many times, they know all your tricks and they'll just happen to beat you. Like a lot of times, like brothers that train together, they'll always be able to beat each other, and then one will go in the UFC, and then win in the UFC, but still lose to his brother because he's fought with each other so many times.
Yeah, and that's where the mental side of it comes in. I mean, I grew up me and both my brothers wrestled, and the little brother was a state champion and all New England and all stuff like that. But I never let him beat me just because he was my little brother, and he was a better wrestler than I was. It was just one of those things that was like, no, you're not taking me down. Like, so I get that mentality. It's good. Like I've been to so many different gyms that before I opened my gym, I knew what I liked. Like, I knew what felt comfortable when I walked in the door. I knew what I thought was cool. I knew what I thought was kind of stupid. I knew what I thought was, like, professional or unprofessional. And I try to, like, loop all that experience that I have um, and morph it into, like, me opening my gym. Like, I mean, I was, probably 10 fights into my career, and if I went to a new gym, I was so intimidated when I went there. I was like, oh, these guys are going to be bigger than me. They're going to be better. They're going to think I suck. Like, how hard do I go? Is it safe to do this? Like, is the instructor going to think I'm a jerk? Like, all that stuff. And I remember, and I like certain things, like the instructors that are walking around teaching class, talking on their phone on the mat, and or constantly starting class late or ending class early, just, or not being tolerant, of people's time and their understanding their schedules. Like, just stuff like that is all the stuff that I took from my experience of kind of traveling around and training different places and tried to make sure that, like, I made a place that if people came in the door, they instantly felt comfortable, they felt welcomed, and they didn't feel judged.
And their time is used wisely and well as well,
Say that
like,
again?
and like, and you would say, like, and their time is used wisely, like you said, they don't like start the class late or end it early or anything, because people pay a lot of money for class, and I've seen that happen a lot in the time that I was training, like what you were just saying there, like they would waste time or just start late, end early, and you wouldn't say that happens so much in your school.
No, like if class starts at 6, I'm looking at my clock at like 5:50, and I try not to start class early either because that's not fair to people who are coming in. Like, so I wait and I look at the clock, and the minute it hits 6, I'm like, all right, guys, get on the mat, and then we go. There's a few stragglers, they join class or whatever, but like for the most part, like at 6 o'clock, we're on the line, we're making announcements, and then we're getting class started, and we try to stop on time every time, so that way everybody's out on time. And then the other thing, the one thing I probably didn't point out, that anytime I get a new student that comes in that has been to other schools, the one thing they always comment on is the fact that we're pretty clean. Like, we wash the mat every time after jiu-jitsu.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's
it's not
very
just like,
important.
oh, the end of the day. Yeah, like, it's really important. And unfortunately, like, we've been open a year and a half, and we haven't had any funky outbreaks or anything like that. Um, with ringworm or staff or anything. And so after every single class, we wash the mat, like all the jiu-jitsu classes, and spray them down, wipe them down, and I've had comments on that, and people do it. And I mean, most of the gyms I've been to have been fairly clean, but I've heard horror stories, and some of the gyms that I have now have been like, there's other gym I went to, like, I swear they never washed the mat, it was gross, and like I never feel like that here, so that's something I take pride into, is making sure the mat's always clean.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's definitely very important. You don't want to get like ringworm or some kind of staph infection or whatever from all the blood and sweat on the mat over years.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess the last thing I would say that maybe kind of makes my gym unique is, like, my approach to teaching is I'm not on the bandwagon of watching YouTube videos and, like, what the hot new move is and then teaching that.
Mhm.
I feel like I have a wrestling background. That's my style. Like, I don't try to teach stuff I'm not great at. Um, like, did you ever wrestle or anything?
What was that?
I said, did you have a wrestling background or anything like that?
No, just jujitsu.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen certain schools, like, have it kind of like, oh, this school is really good at leg riding, this school is really good at, like, guillotines, this school is really, you see, like, Team Alpha Male, they know it's having good guillotines, but you go to other schools, they're really good for Muay Thai or,
Yeah.
whatever, like, so, and that's kind of what I saw a lot in high school wrestling, and certain schools, got into certain things, but those schools always did good because they stuck to what they were good at, and that's kind of my approach, too. It's not that I'm not going to teach the stuff that's not in my wheelhouse, but I try to take the wrestling approach where I'm going to take a position and we're going to work on the position and the concepts from that position. And that's how I work with my fighters too down at the song. Is we're going to take, all right, you're mounted in a fight. How many times do you see people in an MMA fight that are mounted, and the guy's on top of them, not really beating them up? He's kind of safe, maybe there's a minute left in the round, and he can kind of probably ride it out. But instead he turns and gives up his back, and then gets choked out.
Yeah, like a lot. They just don't know what to do. They panic.
Exactly. And, yeah, you're like, why didn't you just stay in mount and protect his face, or maybe bump and try to get half guard or something like that? But you see it, like, those positions where people just kind of react, and then we understand, like, all right, if you're in this position, we're going to react. You're probably like, oh, I don't want to get punched, you're going to give up your back. Well, okay, like, you just won that scramble, but what did you really win? Your goal was to put yourself in a worse position that has a higher finish rate.
Yeah.
So we drill a lot of positions like that where we're just going to go over, you're mounted, what's your escape, what's your solutions, what paths can you go down, and then we learn moves off of those concepts. Like, if you're in turtle, can you roll and pull guard, or can you just roll and all of a sudden get stuck in side control their mount or whatever. So like we deal with like positions, concepts off those positions, and then the moves are taught from there. Meaning like if you're gonna roll and get turtle, you maybe teach a Peterson out of that or something like that. Just we'll work on like position a week. This week we're working on open guard. So then we're working on sweeps off of open guard, concepts, control, posture, all that stuff. Like all like what is his objective, what's my objective. All right, so now that we understand our objectives, let's talk about how to work with those objectives. Let's say a sweep off of there, or retaining full guard if that's what you want, whatever. Mm-hmm. So we talk about the objectives, and then we wear moves or sweeps off of that. So it's not me just coming in and teaching random sweeps. It's working on all the different positions, and then really reviewing those for like a solid week. And then every few weeks we'll go back and drill some of those positions again, or we'll play king of the guard, but we'll play king of the guard from those positions that we drilled, with a concept of, all right, you're trying to cover guard, he's trying to, let's call it turtle. You start on top, the guy's turtle. He has to recover either half guard or close guard. You have to not get stuck in any guard and get the side control or power, and you have belly. And that's a lot of stuff that like people never really drill those in between transitional positions. And that's where we really try to be effective. And those are the positions as a white belt, you come in, you get stuck in there, and you just get gassed because you don't know what to do. You're in a bad position, and you just kind of panic. So we take those positions and try to make them more like a home base where people are comfortable there and they know what their options are. So that way if they're in a tournament, they're not like, oh man, I hate this position, what do I do? And then they gas out. They're pretty comfortable, they know they're active, they know what the other guy's objective is, they have all their bases covered.
So you're making sure that everybody has a thorough understanding of the moves that you're teaching them. You're not just like throwing them out with like a ton of information. You're trying to make sure that they have a thorough understanding of everything that they learn before they move on to the next move.
Yeah, and it's not, like I said, it's not even really moves. It's learning about positions and the concepts and objectives from those positions. Like, like if I'm in closed guard, like I'm not just teaching. So I'm on the bottom in closed guard. I'm not just teaching a sweep. I'm making them understand that, like, listen, like you have to have control. You have to have their posture. You have to, if you're gonna open your guard, you can't be on your back. You got to be on your side. So teach them all the things. So you just start teaching them sweeps, but they don't really understand like how to get to the sweeps. And they're trying these sweeps that never work. They get the guard back. They get frustrated, and then they say, "Oh, that sweep doesn't work for me." Because I did it. I did it myself. I kind of was a snob when I first started. I was like, oh, I'll never use that. I'll never use that. And I kind of just threw it away. And now, kind of as a black belt, like I'm looking back at those things and I'm like, wow, like, I really messed up. I missed out on a lot of things that I could have really, sharpened and put in my toolbox. And so I'm really trying to make sure my students really understand that it's not that the sweep's not good for you. It's just you're not properly setting it up. And I understand there's some moves that just your body type, but I'm never gonna play mission control and any of that stuff. I'm just not flexible enough, and I'd probably break my knee. But so I understand traditionally there's certain things with just body types that don't work. But like basic sweeps, there's a lot of people that will work on a scissor sweep for a year and never be able to do it. And then all of a sudden like you teach them like one little thing that they're doing wrong, and then they're like, oh, now I get it, and then they start getting it. I'm trying to make sure that's not skipped. If I just go and teach a scissor sweep, but I never teach the concept of why they're doing it, what the other guy's objective is doing it, and how they can truly set them up to do it, like as a chess game, then they're not going to really ever really have, effectiveness with that move. So I'm really trying to break it down of like, all right, if this guy's in your closed guard, what's his objective? He wants to defend, control, attack. He wants to defend whatever grips you have. Now, once he defends the grips, what's he going to do? He's going to try to control you, meaning like maybe pin your knees down and control your hips. And at that point, now he's good to attack, which means he's going to start tackling. So if we're on the bottom, we know his objective. He's going to try to defend your grips. If he starts defending your grips, you get a regrip. If you don't have control, like meaning like, you have to get control, or you're on the bottom, same thing, defend. You have to defend his posture. If he doesn't have his posture up, you need to get grips, bring his posture down, and then you can look on like opening the guard, sweeping, and stuff like that. But a lot of people will just no grip, they open the guard, they try to shift out, they try to sweep, they have no control. So they're attacking without control, and then they're getting lost. So I break it down like really just those three concepts: defend, control, attack, and it works on both sides. And I feel like if you're in a position and you're ever stuck, you're like, I don't know what to do. You just say, all right, am I defending what he's doing? Okay, no. All right, now I have to defend my neck. All right, do I have any sort of control? No. Okay, I gotta get some grips or maybe an overhook or whatever. And all right, now I'm in a position where I defended. I'm controlling to some aspect. Now I can look to try to attack. And I think that helps people a lot when they get in positions where they're panicking. They're like, well, I don't know what to do in this position. It's like, all right, well, get back to the fundamentals. Like, are you defending? Now you got to get control. Now we can look to attack. And it works on the bottom, it works on the top, and it kind of just breaks it down in a very simplistic white belt way of looking at jiu-jitsu. But I think it's translated into success. Like, we've only been up a year and a half. We just had our guys go to their first Naga. I had a girl um, win the white belts gi and the no gi, and I had another guy win the no gi, and I had another guy win the no gi, and I had another guy place, I think, second. So I had like five
Wow.
people play, you know what I mean? So they all kind of cleaned house at the beginner level, but they were just beating with this very basic stuff, and then,
Yeah,
but
you
they
can
all
see your
came up
method
with
is
different
definitely
things. Like,
effective.
say again?
I said, yes, you can see your method of teaching is definitely effective just by that right there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's translated with the fighters too. Like, I corner a lot of the fighters in the UFC, so I've been, cornered a bunch of UFC fighters and stuff like that. And, we always talk, like, me, other coaches of UFC fighters, like one of Joe Lozon's coaches, Steve Mays, me and him were pretty close. And we always talk about it, like, we watch fights. We'll go to CES, watch fights. We'll be like, all right, that guy just lost to a guy he shouldn't have because he made the same mistakes for 3 rounds. And it was as simple as giving up an overhook against the fence. That's why he lost the fight. You lose the fight because the guy was better or because you got. You lost the fight because you made one mistake over and over and it cost this. And then that's why I work with my fighters too. I'll say like, all right, you got stuck at building like I I'm getting stuck in this position. It's like, all right, well, how do you get put there? Like, the problem isn't that you're getting stuck in that position. You're doing something wrong upstream. Let's break that down. So now you're not
Mm.
getting put in that position. Like, it's just one little mistake over here that's leading to this bad position over there. And that's what we really try to, like, harness in on and work those things. So from a, like, I guess you could say from a theory perspective or strategy in terms of teaching, it's all about concept and fundamentals. So,
So, where a lot of schools teach you what to do and how, you teach them that plus why you're doing it and the core strategy.
yeah, I teach the why. I teach the why first, and then we work on the how. So I
Okay.
think a lot of people are like, oh, look at this cool sweep, but then how often do you ever do that cool sweep? It's really hard to set up on a guy that understands the why. Because he's like, all right, this guy has good grip. He's starting to control me. Now he's going to try to sweep. So he knows the attack's coming. He knows exactly when the attack's coming. But if you don't have the control, or, you didn't defend what he's doing, and then you don't have the control, and they go to attack, you know it's going to be ineffective and you're going to be overpassed. So they know when their window is open. So then the how of the sweeps that they're going to try to do is always a lot more effective. So you're never going to have a sweep that works every time,
Yeah.
but if you're doing it at the right time, it's going to have a higher percentage of being effective.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, all right. So you've accomplished like many noteworthy achievements, such as like managing and training fighters currently under contract to the UFC and veterans. Like you were just saying a minute ago, you have I think 6 current pro title holders, and I think you have a MMA record of 11-4, a CS Knockout of the Year title, and you're ranked #1 lightweight Northeast Fighter of the Year. Like, where does that passion and drive for MMA come from? It seems that you've dedicated your entire life to this. Like, why? Like, where does that drive come from for you?
I think it's just something I fell into. Like, and this is another theory of mine. Like, I think what you see with a lot of bad coaches, or even especially managers, is people get into it for the wrong reasons. They get into it because I think I can make money, or I think it'll be cool to say I'm friends with UFC fighters or managing UFC fighters, or whatever motives they have. But I think if you're getting into it because you want to get into it, that's already you already sort of set up the failure. I'm not going to say there isn't exceptions, but I never wanted to be a manager and agent of like UFC fighters. Like, I was just got out of college. I played lacrosse in college, went to grad school, was coaching lacrosse, did the recruiting for them. Got out and I was like, man, I just kind of like worked out like picked up basketball for a year. And I was getting really bored, and I was like, oh, I'd like to try something. And my girlfriend at the time, my mom was like, oh, they're teaching jiu-jitsu at this place down the road. So I went and tried it out. I had the wrestling background, and I just started rolling. And I had the intentions of fighting. And one of the guys I was training with was getting ready for a fight. He's fighting a wrestler. He was like, "Hey, can you help me? Get ready for this fight. Can you help me spar?" I was like, "Well, I don't even know how to spar, but I guess." And then I went through that whole thing with him, and then I actually cornered him for that fight. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do like one fight. I never had delusions of going to the UFC or anything. I was like 26, 27 before I started training.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, so I was like, I'll try it. And then kind of like one fight led to two, led to three, and then I ended up having like 8 amateur fights, 7 pro fights. Um, I got to fight out in Las Vegas at Tough Enough. They flew me out there to do that for the fight their title, which was an awesome experience. And it was never like a drive to, oh, I want to be the best fighter. It was more about to challenge myself, like have a healthy lifestyle, challenge myself, like kind of get over those mental fears that you have as an athlete. Like I'm sure if you've competed or you've gone to a class and you see this guy that's whooping up everybody, it's kind of intimidating to go against him. You're like, oh man, like he might beat me. And, like that's natural, but like I wanted to figure out how can I overcome that fear. And how can I go in there and get humbled and still want to come back and like just kind of like it leads to life lessons. So I just kept doing it, and then it kind of gets the big thing where you take another fight, and it's about. And then I had some injuries and stuff, so I kind of had to pull back. But towards the tail end of my pretty much my whole pro career, especially towards the tail end, it was guys were like not being able to get fights, and then they're like I was always managing myself, and they were like, how do you stay so busy? I think it was 2010. I fought 5 times, and Rick Hahn, the judo Olympian that fought Bellator, he was our teammate. He fought 5 times. I think the rest of the gym at Dayton had a total of 5 fights. So me and Rick each fought 5, and the rest of the gym fought 5. And they were like, what are you doing to get so many fights? I was like, I'm just staying on top of it. And then it was like this one kid, Louis Karafi. He's started to as a pro now. He's fought for here. He asked me, he's like, hey, do you think you can get me a fight? And I was like, yeah, are you working with anybody else? He's like, no. So I got him a fight, and then that kind of started getting another guy a fight, and they're all amateurs. So then I started getting all these amateurs fights, and then it leads to Rico DeShulo, Rob Font, like all these guys, and I kind of started climbing up through the amateur rankings with them. They get amateur titles, then next thing they're turning pro. Next thing I know, I'm managing like everybody at the gym, and it just organically happened. And I think the reason we had success with it is just because it wasn't something that I wanted to do because I thought was cool. I think I just was doing it for myself, understood like the do's and don'ts of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
treated and I knew my fears when I was booking fights for myself. I was like, oh, this guy, too good of a wrestler, probably not a good idea. I always had reasons for why I wouldn't take fights and what I thought was spot fights, and I was realistic with what my abilities were. And I just took that, like every time I managed one of the other guys or got fights to them, I treated it, even if it was an amateur fight on a podunk card, I treated it as if it was myself getting in the cage. How would I want to be treated? And that's how I treat all my athletes. And I think that really shows, I've never had anybody leave me. Everybody stays pretty happy. Sometimes they can get a little grumpy that they're not as active as they want to be, but that's just make them not as much pro slots around here as we leave. But, I treat everybody with integrity, and in my dealings with promoters and matchmakers, is I just assume that everything that the correspondence that we have is just going to be posted on the internet. So I'm never cutting corners. I'm never being shady. I'm never, trying to group fighters together, being like, hey, if you give me this guy for this fight, I'll give you this amateur that I sell tickets and not care about the matchup, because I see a lot of other people do that. So I
Yeah.
treat everybody as their own individual enterprise, their own little fighter, .co, and, treat them exactly how I'd want to be treated. And, I've had success like that. Rob Font, I've been managing Rob Font his whole career. Now he's fighting on the UFC Boston card next week. And he's 1-0 in the UFC, knocked out Joe Drew. And he started out, he was his first amateur fight, he was like 180 pounds, this little fat kid. He's like, oh, I want to fight amateur. And he came to my house and got money for medical so he could fight. I didn't know we never expected him to be in the UFC, but we just kept training him, getting him good fights, building him up, making sure he's making the right decisions with training. And now he's on, he's on a 10-fight win streak. He's 11-1 as a pro. His one
Wow.
loss was a fight that I told him not to take. And he's like, no, I'm going to beat this kid. And I was like, you do what you want. As your manager, I'm telling you, don't take it. And he took the fight anyway, and he lost. And then after that, he's like, all right, I'm sorry, I'm never going to choose a fight that you don't like. And from then on, 10 fights in a row we've won, and now he's going to fight on the Boston card. So, we've had a lot of success with guys like that, like homegrown guys that, like, you know, just from amateur all the way up to the pro ranks, and we've been able to get them into the UFC. So I think it's, a very long-winded answer of what you said. Is I don't think it's necessarily, like, my passion for it as I see is it's, like, maybe my natural calling, like, and I'm not, like, religious or anything, and I'm not, like, spiritual, but,
Yeah.
like, that kind of sounds corny. But, like, I just feel like I have a knack for it. Like, people I have other camps call me and they're like, hey man, like I'm getting offered this fight. What do you think? And I'm like, nah, I don't like it. And it's not like I've learned it from anybody else. I go with like my gut says this, and here's why. And then it all kind of ends up making sense. Like I'll say why a matchup doesn't make sense, or why a matchup does make sense. So what's gonna do if you take this fight, it's gonna do this for your next 3 fights. And here's my concern with that. And from a game plan standpoint, like I do all the game plans for all the guys that see it on. So I'm the one that watches video. I break it down. I put together a strategy. Here's how you do this kid. And then, we implement it in training. Then we go out in the fight and we execute on the game plan. Like I'm a huge strategist. Like I'm no Greg Jackson. You get the name, but like that's the same role I take. I break down film. I watch it. I say, all right, here's this guy's weakness. Here's what we can do. But if that guy's weakness isn't my other guy's strength, like you're still not going to beat him. You
Yeah.
need to make sure that you have the right matchup. But you need to have a guy that's decent. So if a guy's not good at fighting backwards, that you can take advantage of that. But if your guy's not good at fighting going forward, probably not a good fight for you. And just little things like that. And I think that's why it's so easy to dedicate it. I think it kind of comes natural. And I feel like if I'm not there, because I care about so much about all my guys and girls, and I see so many other people that get taken advantage of real bad, that I feel like I'm there more to protect them and shield them from all the stuff that's wrong in MMA and the bad coaching and the bad advice and the people that are just looking to make a quick dollar. I feel like as much as I'm there to help them and stuff like that, I also feel like I'm there to make sure that the wrong guy's not there.
And so you weren't even really expecting your life to go in this direction. Like you said, you got your MBA, you went through grad school and everything, and then in your later 20s, then you started to get into it. Like you weren't even. It just kind of just happened
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, it's just I started training, and then like I said, it kind of organically happened. I was training a couple fighters. I fully started out. I was there to fight myself, and then maybe the trainers wouldn't be there, so I'd run practice. And then it was like, to get me a fight. And then next thing you know, like I'm cornering all the fighters. And then I just always had a knack. And even in high school wrestling, I was a much better. Like I was all state and everything, but I was a much better coach or like corner. You're always one coach sitting on the sideline telling the guy what to do. Like I would do that in high school. Like I was always better at telling people what to do and like what to watch out for, and doing it in an easy way that they could understand. That than I was a wrestler. Like, and then that's how you take to the corners, right? Stick to the basics, explain it in a calm manner, and it results in success. And I always point out, like, you look at the Ultimate Fighter, what the guys that win are generally the guys that have corners that they listen to. As long as the corners aren't showing stupid stuff like the guy Rampage is like, get up. Like, it's going to be basic, simple instruction, and you have to do it. And I think those are the guys that win. And I think we really try to instill that into our fighters there. Just stick to the basics and win more fights. But that's how it kind of happened. There was no delusion of, I'm going to be an agent. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I just kind of started doing it, and then next thing you know, my guys are getting into the UFC, and I have all these other guys raising their hands like, hey, can you manage me? Can you manage me? Can you manage me? And it's like, I have to say no more often than I have to say yes, because I'm not trying to just get a big freaking a big stable of guys that I can't keep active. Like, at this point, the only people I'm taking on are people that I really think have a shot at making it to the UFC, because I want to make sure I steer them in the right direction.
So they can have a lot of one-on-one instruction and management. You don't want to just take on a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to have 50 people under contract. Like I'm trying to make sure the ones that I have get the attention they need and stay active as they can.
Okay.
And I do a lot of consulting with the other gyms. Like we have a big affiliate program, and all the fighters from other gyms come up to spar with our guys, and their coaches call me and they're like, hey, what do you think about this matchup? And I'll say yes or no. And I'm like, they're like, will you manage him? And I say no. I'm like, listen, like, if I manage the guy, like, I'm not going to do much more than I'm doing on this phone call now. I'm going to get a fight that I think they can win. And that's really what I do. I don't focus a lot on sponsorships. I feel like that's a time suck. I'm not in ad sales. I'm trying to get your fighters to the next level. That comes with training them the right way and then building their career the right way. Like, if I spent all my time just working on sponsors for my guys, I'd never be watching video of anybody. I'd just be calling people all the time. So, like, I tell them, like, those guys, I'm like, listen, like, I have no problem. Just call me every time you get an offer. I'll tell you whether to take it or not. Like, I don't feel like they should be paying me 10% for that. Like, I'll do that for free. if we get to the point where I really feel like they're a couple fights away from going to the UFC, then maybe it makes sense for us to like get something in. I could really hone their skills and then really try to help them get to the next level. Um, and I think a lot of the affiliate programs really appreciate that because then they feel like, all right, well, if I sit at this, it seems like a good idea. And me and Mark Pellegrati, we work very closely together and collaborating on a lot of the fighters that we have, a lot of the affiliates that we have, and some of the people that we think have potential or don't have potential. Um, and that's not to say that I pay any more attention to the UFC guys than I do to the amateurs. Like I have a 43-year-old girl that fights as an amateur. She's 2-0, and I get her fights up in Maine, like 4 hours away. And I drive up there to corner her, just like I would if it was a high-level pro fighter. Like, and I can honestly say, I'm just as excited when I go to her fight to watch her win for just like the pure sport of it. She's doing it not because she thinks she has a future in it. She's challenging herself. She's crossing, uh, she's crossing check marks off her little bucket list of life, and she's like enjoying the journey, and she's getting like excited about doing something and getting outside of her comfort zone. And like that's just as rewarding to me as if I fly out to Vegas and corner a guy on TV. And I think that's what a lot of my fighters see is that I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for trying to be on TV. I'm literally just like I'm excited to help fighters achieve their goals, whatever they may be.
And so, like earlier, you were saying that you had like you've got like a smaller school. It's like a laid back environment, and then you also have a lot of
Yeah.
guys that are like in the UFC and in Bellator and just and competing. So, would you say your school is like more geared towards those interested in competition or self defense, or is it like a nice mix of the two?
I think it's a mix. Like I have people that like want to compete in NAGA, and I have a few fighters that a few people that come in, they're like, I do want to do MMA at some point. So those people, they'll come in, they'll do the jiu-jitsu with me, and then they'll come down to Somerville with me 1 or 2 days a week to get some sparring in. Um, I teach down there on Wednesdays and Saturdays. They run the team practice. So they'll come down and do the team practice with me down there and get to spar with the guys, so they see the UFC fighters and all that. But my gym is like really like pretty open. Like I'd say if I had to like make a decision, we're probably geared more towards the people that want to get in shape, be on a team, have the brotherhood that jiu-jitsu offers, and then maybe compete in Sanaga. And then I work a little bit differently with the people that are like, hey, listen, I want to do this for MMA. I put them on a different program where I was like, all right, you have to start coming down to Somerville and go to see Tom and spar with some of those guys and get some, like, MMA training in. And, because up here we'll teach you jiu-jitsu. And then with those people, I focus more on, like, every time I teach a move in the gi, I'm like, but if it's MMA, you're going to do it this way. Because there's always a little tweak. And so I try to get balanced the two. But for the most part, I'm trying to have, like, a welcome family environment for people that maybe want to compete every now and then, but they just want to calm the calories, have fun, and get a workout in a safe way. And a lot of those people end up liking the fact that, they do come and there's pictures on the wall of me with, people like Dana White or, Frank Mir or whoever, and they think it's cool that I know them, and then, they ask me about the story and stuff like that, and then, just, because I remember that's how I felt. When I first went to see Italian, I saw pictures of Delegati with, you know, Anderson, Anderson Silva, Wanderlei Silva, uh, Dana White, all those people. I was like, oh my god, like that's so cool. He knows all these people, and now kind of like I have those pictures hanging up, and my students are asking me with their wide eyes, just like I used to do it. And I used to think it was so cool. So I try to be like as forthcoming with those stories as I can be because they think it's me, and I used to do it too. Like when I first started training, I was training at an affiliate school of Boston Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is where Kenny Florian got his black belt. And I remember I used to go to work and brag that my school, my teacher was a purple belt under Boston Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is where Kenny Florian got his black belt. And I thought I was cool because of that. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you first started training? Like, those are kind of like the things you go in and you're like, oh my god, that's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I try to be really, and I don't ever want to become one of those coaches that, like, becomes callous to that or like think it's not a big deal anymore. Like I don't think it's not a big deal that I've met Dana White or anything like that. That doesn't make me any better than anybody else. But if my student asks me about it, like I have to make it important to like talk about it, like and make sure that they feel like they're part of it and they think it's cool that I'm gonna meet Dana White and I tell them some stuff and they think they know more. So when they watch fights with their friends at home on a Saturday night, they're like, yeah, my coach met him and this happened, and they feel kind of like part of it. And I try to just build that environment up the best I can and make them feel like they're kind of on this journey with me.
So no matter what the goal, they're gonna feel like they've got a nice like home environment and they'll be able to achieve their goals through you.
to the individual.
Okay, and so like, what does a typical day of training in your adult BJJ classes consist of?
Well, we only have one class a day, so we'll have like a cardio kick punching class for the girls, females only, and they'll come in just get a workout in. But then the jiu-jitsu class is pretty easy format. Like we do like a 15-minute warm up, 15 minutes of drilling, um, and then we do like maybe 10 minutes of like technique, working on a position, some concepts out of that position, and then we try to roll for at least 30 minutes. So depending on the drill, for example, last night we did 15-minute warm-up, some dynamic stuff like running and jogging and shrimping and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we're done that, we, do a lot of pummeling and, stuff like there. And then from there, we went to, I think, 15 minutes of king of the guard. And then we went to some open guard sweeps, just talking about control from open guard, you know, putting people in the airplane and getting them used to falling. Like if you sweep someone over your head, some open guards with kind of like the airplane sweep. Um, and then one sweep off of that, and then we roll dive for 30 minutes. So we'll do like 5-5. We try to get at least 30 minutes of live rolling every day. And a lot of times, like, they'll either get to, they'll each get a turn to roll with me, or, I'll take days when I don't roll and I just walk around and coach the whole time. And, just go to different groups and do it. So a lot of our learning is trial and error. That, I truly feel like you learn best by rolling. So we
Yeah,
try
I
to,
definitely agree with that. That's one thing that I
yeah,
like that you just said, that 30 minutes of rolling. I think that'll attract a lot of people, is because
and then people love it,
yeah, a
and
lot
then,
of people don't get to roll that often, or if they don't roll that often, they don't roll for very long when they do. And I feel like definitely rolling is definitely when you learn the best, because when you're just drilling and the other person is letting you do it, you don't like, the muscle movements and the moves, but it's not until you roll and the other person is resisting and they have their own strategy working against yours that you really start to learn. So
and
that's
that's
really
the other
good.
thing I do is when we roll, we'll do like different themes. Like last night, I said top rank. What's your worst position? So every round, whoever was the high rank chose their worst position, and they started in that. So that does two things. It gets the guy that feels like, oh, I hate when someone's on my back. I don't feel comfortable here. It puts a lower rank on your back, right? And now you're defending what you feel is your worst position, but it also gives that lower rank, who you're probably better than, a chance to be in the dominant position against you and try to work some stuff. So now they're getting to work a position that they generally don't ever get to work because they're not as good as you to get there, and it forces everybody to work. And what it also does, and I think this is a huge, huge thing that a lot of schools should do, is it gets the lower ranks attacking the higher ranks a lot more, but
Mhm.
in a manner that doesn't affect egos. Because now the top ranks, maybe I started out with one of my blue belts on my back, and you know, we went, and then I tried to get out. It didn't work, and then he choked me out. Now he just tapped out a black belt. I got tapped out one of my blue belts, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's awesome that he got me. But you can also rationalize it as like, well, he started on my back. If we were rolling, he would have gotten there. You know what I mean? So you don't feel as like you're getting worse. You know? And I think that's what some of my blue belts and white belts go through. Is the blue belts don't want to get tapped out by the white belts. The white belts really want to tap the blue belts, for the most part. But you put those guys in the bad position, and I tell them right before I go, guys, you're gonna get tapped out. Like you're gonna get tapped out by lower ranks in this position just because of the nature of the drill. So don't worry about it. If you're not getting tapped, you're not getting the drill right. And then you'll start to see the white belts are tapping the blue belts, and then it takes the opposite away, and the blue belts don't feel like it's a hit at their ego. They're kind of like rationalizing, well, he started out on my back with two hooks and a seatbelt. You know, of course he's gonna have a good chance of tapping me.
Yeah.
And it was my worst position. So we do a lot of stuff like that. And then if we start seeing that we have people that have egos with not wanting to tap, then we just do the shark bait drill where we'll say it's a top bottom out 10-minute round. Every 2 minutes, the new guy's jumping in. So let's say like me and you're rolling, and I'm mounting you. Well, the new guy's going to come in for 2 minutes, and he's just going to jump in, throw in a rear naked choke with some hook in, and I'm going to try to fight out of it. And that drill gets people to tap in a lot because you're basically starting out with submission. So they might come in, if you're mounting somebody, they might come in with the front headlock, and now you're sending off a guillotine. And what it forces you to do is work positions that you generally don't get in with higher ranks because you can't get them there, or I'm a higher rank, so I make sure I don't get in the bad positions. I can probably dictate the pace. Now I have like white belts that are 2 months in, throwing guillotines on me or jumping on my back with a rear naked choke in, and I have to fight it off. So it really it breaks down those egos, and what I find is that it makes everybody like get along a lot better. Like everybody's because like there really are no egos because everybody's tapping everybody. So it takes the awkwardness away. Cause I'm sure you've been in schools where you see like a blue belt might be like, I haven't tapped it. No, I've never been tapped by a white belt. It's like, well, then you're probably not training right. So we
Yeah,
try to really break that home and make them understand that it's important to tap, you know?
yeah, they gotta
And
leave their pride at the door. Like
exactly.
there's no ego in BJJ.
You can't have an ego at all. Um, you know, so and that's kind of my philosophy. Sorry, I'm in the bathroom right now. Um, so
And
yeah, I think rolling is really important. Because then when we take my white belts down to another gym and they roll against their white belt, our white belts are way better shape, and they're used to rolling a lot more, so they're like a lot more advanced.
okay. And so what about the kids classes? Do they roll there, or is that more for like technique and conditioning?
It's more technique and conditioning. Our kids program isn't really that big. Like we haven't done a lot to market it. We only have a couple students that do it, and but it's like we have like a 9-year-old girl that comes in. She's been coming in for a year and a half. For the most part, she's in by herself on Wednesday night,
Mm-hmm.
and she comes in. Her dad watches, and her dad was a high school wrestler too. So we'll take her through drills, and we'll live roll with her and stuff, or we'll play just different drills that kind of like similar like game that also teach her grappling. Like we'll play, like almost like sumo wrestling. We'll put cones out and say, "All right, you're gonna try to push me out of here." And I'm gonna try to push you, and we'll fight for points. We'll do like a takedown competition or stuff like that. But with them, it's just trying to teach them like the respect of bowing, facing the wall when you fix your gi, putting in some structure. So it's really like a 15-minute warm up with calisthenics to kind of get them moving. Then we do 15 minutes of drilling, which is like we'll work on grips, we'll work on um, defending grips, we'll work on just like maybe a couple techniques, like if someone jumps on your back, how do you get away, stuff like that. Kind of like almost like a self defense slash technique hybrid, and then we'll play for 15 minutes. And we'll always try to like the play stuff. We'll try to be geared towards like we'll play like knee ninjas where like you have to hit the other person's knee, and if you do, they're out. So it talks, kind of gets you in that wrestling stance, and you're playing a little bit of stand up without actually realizing you're playing stand up.
Okay, and that's a good idea because then having the games at the end that'll keep them interested throughout the whole thing and want to come back.
And it forces them to pay attention because you tell them they can't play if they don't pay attention.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's always the worst thing for a kid is when they can't play.
I know.
So so your cardio kickboxing classes, is that just for like cardio, like fitness conditioning, or do you spar in these classes as well?
No, we don't do any sparring. It's really just for, kind of like the housewife, like that wants to come in, want to blow off some steam, punch some bags, and get a workout in. So for that class, it's an hour long. It's usually a 15-minute warm up, and then we do like 15 minutes of some sort of like calisthenics or body weight exercises. Whether it be like crab walks and just different drills, like different circuits that we put them through, ladder drills, just different things. And it's usually 30 minutes on the bag. So we'll end with the bags. So they all get, they put boxing gloves on. We have the portable bags that we can roll out onto the mats. And then we'll call out combos like, you know, I'll say like 1-2-1, and they'll do like 1-2-1 over and over for like 30 seconds. Then I'll call it a new combo. So I'll be like, 2-3 switch kick, and so we teach a little bit of the very high level, intro level technique, and then as they're doing it, we'll just teach them little things like, oh no, make sure you turn the heel when you kick, just stuff like that. So they feel like they're getting some teaching, but they're also half of them wear Fitbits to track how much calories they burn, and they think it's like a little competition. And we try to let they talk. It ends up being kind of like a little sisterhood where they're all kind of gossiping and talking, and we go out for coffee after class and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Like, and those classes are generally pretty small too, anywhere from like 3 to 6 girls truly per class.
Okay, and so how large are your adult BJJ classes on average?
On average, I would say anywhere from maybe it's been like anywhere from like 6 to 12. So we still have small classes, which is nice. There's a lot of people that come and they'll come like 2 days a week. So then they all come on different days. So it ends up just being uh, nice. Like I said, we're not huge. So once we have 12 people, we have 6 groups rolling. We're kind of like at the limit where we're like, all right, it'd be cool if we had some more space. So we're kind of balancing that uh, space between where it would be cool if we were bigger, but we don't want to take on the extra expense.
Well, the smaller class atmosphere is, in my opinion, is a lot. better and a lot more enjoyable. You feel like much of a more family brotherhood environment, and you get a lot more one-on-one instruction from the instructor. Because when there's a ton of people all on the mat rolling, and the instructor is walking around trying to watch everybody, he's not really able to watch the mistakes that you're making, and he's not really. It's like when it's a smaller atmosphere, and then the instructor can really pay attention on what you're doing and see if you're making any mistakes, answer your questions. So I think 6 to 12 is a really good number, actually.
Well, that's what my students say. They're like, I really love the class sizes because it's big enough where you can get a couple different roles with different body types, but it's also small enough where, like, for the most part, everyone gets to roll with me every class. And or if I'm not rolling, if it's an even number or something, I'm watching them roll and I'm pointing out. Everybody gets some, like, a little bit of instruction every day. So, and then I'll have days where I like pick one student and just kind of really focus on like cleaning up their bad habits. And they like that, so they're all getting attention. They feel like they get to roll with me, and then I'm putting them with. And a lot of times, I think what I do differently too is before we roll, I'll call out like, all right, Ryan, you roll with Brandon. Dylan, you roll with Sam, like stuff like that. And I think that now they're forced to roll with everybody. Sometimes, you see people avoid certain people, and, it gives them different looks. And I think, so the feedback I've gotten is they really like that. They like just how no BS. It's like, all right, you're rolling with him, and let's go. And everybody seems to like it.
And would you say there's a like a decently balanced diversity of body types and experience, so everybody can find a good rolling partner?
Yeah, so we have a weird dynamic. Like, it's funny. We're like a over 30 heavyweight bulk school. Like, we always
Mhm.
joke around. We say, like, most of I'd say the majority of our students, so like just slightly over half, are probably over 30 years old, balding, a little overweight, and around, like a little over 200 pounds. It's like, it's funny. But then we also have, like, one of our, we have a girl that weighs 125 pounds, and she's there every day. Or she's like 130 pounds, and she's a killer. So she rolls with all these guys. We also have like twins that are 14 years old that are 6'1" and 140 pounds. So we have some smaller guys, so we also have a lot of big guys. So it's kind of weird. Where we probably lack is that mid-range 170 to 180 pound person. That's kind of where we're either really small or we're heavyweights. So that in between is probably where we're deficient a little bit in terms of the numbers.
Okay. And so, where does training usually begin for someone just starting off? Like, if they
They
have
jump
no
right into
experience at all.
they jump right into the adult class, and the cool thing that we have is I have a partner. His name's Travis. He's a I think a push-type group up under me, and so if we have a new student, they partner. I still run the class, but they partner with Travis. So Travis can teach them the little things. Like if I say, all right, we're drilling, he teaches them how to pummel, he teaches them how to shrimp, he does all that stuff. I check in on him, and then as we start doing moves, Travis can teach them the movie he already knows. So he'll kind of teach it. I'll overview just like I would with any other group. And once we start rolling, then they'll roll with just me and Travis or another student that's super safe, and then we'll just kind of like teach them one thing. All right, you're on top. You're just trying to like get past my guard. That's all you're trying to do. And so when we free roll, they have different objectives versus just free roll, and they're just gonna get on the mat with just me and Travis and just change your concept, keep trying to do it. So they don't really slow down the class, and they don't, because that's the worst thing. If you go to some place and you feel like they have to pay too much attention to, you're holding the class back. That's just as stressful as not being included.
Yeah.
So we try to find that balance of making them feel like they're just part of the class and they're doing the same thing as everybody else, but they have different objectives when they're rolling.
Okay, so they just go in class just like everybody else, but they get a little bit more one-on-one instruction when they're rolling.
Yeah, they'll be partnered with one of our other instructors, like one of our blue belt instructors.
Okay. And so, what could they have expected to have learned after like 2 to 3 months of training there?
All the basic positions, um, like a lot of the concepts, like the basic concepts of the different positions, and then like a really good understanding of mat awareness, like the etiquette, the discipline, the bowing, all that stuff. But then also an understanding of how their body works on the mat, like how to fall correctly, how to get up correctly, how to warm up correctly. How to kind of like the intro to BJJ 101 on how to be safe on the mat and not be kind of a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a basic kind of like a high level overview of what is jiu-jitsu and what are the core concepts of what jiu-jitsu is and all the rules that go along with it.
So they'll have a solid foundation of the basics after just about 3 months, you'd say?
Say that again?
So they would have like a solid foundation of the basics after just a few months, and then later on, after about 6 months, they'd be getting a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, they'll have a basic foundation, and they'll start learning when everybody else is learning. But then
Mm-hmm.
we fill in the gaps. Like they'll be partnered with Travis, or even me or another student. And when we learn it, we try to fill in some of the gaps with the concepts. We're not at the point where we have like an entry level white belt class. We kind of loop everybody in. We're still primarily a white belt school. We have like 5 or 6 um, blue belts under me, and so everybody's still pretty much beginners. So no one really gets fussy if we start reviewing a lot of stuff, because then they're like, oh, I forgot this. So we're still kind of all evolving together, which is nice.
Okay. And so, what would you say are the most common goals among your students?
I would say the most common goal is to get in shape. A lot of them just want to like roll safe, get in shape, and have a hobby and feel part of a team.
Okay, so it's not like so your gym isn't like a lot of like meatheads just trying to beat each other up. It's a lot of people just like trying to get in
I
shape
know.
in a more like family oriented brotherhood type of feel.
Not at all. It's no meatheads at all. Like we're very safe. And like I said, every single round we roll, I'm like, guys, no attacks below the waist, no neck cranks. If you feel anything that hurts, just tap and move to a different position. There's nobody in losing. And I say that every round. And I think, and I've had students come to me after, like, I really like how you say that. It really like makes me realize we're not here to win and lose. And then
Mm-hmm.
they feel safe to try new things, which is gonna make them better. It's gonna make their partner better. So I really try to keep the egos out of it, because I know when I first started, I didn't like being in that environment.
And so, what would you say are your future plans and goals for your school?
Just keep growing, like I like to see my students compete, see them evolve, see them get more confident, and me get better as an instructor, and keep learning and evolving. But like just it's fun watching my students come up as a white belt, and they get a stripe, another stripe, another stripe, and eventually get their blue belt, and then soon we'll have some purple belts and stuff. So it's exciting, and I think at that point we'll start to be able to absorb some students from other schools that come in as blue belts or purple belts, and they'll feel like they can kind of join forces. At the beginning it's tough when everybody's me and black belt and all white belts. It gets tough because they feel like there's really no one there for me to roll with.
Yeah.
But we're getting to the point now where we have enough big guys, enough blue belts and stuff like that, that if a purple belt came from another school, he'd fit right in and he'd get challenged. So
Okay. All right. And so, just to close this interview, a last question. Is there anything that you would like to say to my readers that would be interested in training at your school?
interested in training? Yeah, I mean, just don't be afraid to come in. Like, I know I have the same thing. Like I said, I've been to a bunch of different schools, and anytime I go to a new gym, whether it be like a Gold's Gym, Planet Fitness, anything, a new jiu-jitsu school, a wrestling gym, Muay Thai school, whatever, I always feel like a little bit of anxiety, like they're going to judge me when I come in, or I'm not going to be good enough, or like I'm probably not as advanced as they need me to be to start. I'm going to hold back the class. Like, I would just say, like, put those fears aside. Like, come in. Everybody started as a beginner. Like, we're here to welcome you and make you feel as comfortable as you can. Like, and I can't stress that enough. Like, you know, we all had a first day. We want to make sure that your first day doesn't come with a lot of anxiety.